Paul, feels like an age since we last sat down for a pre-match, which I think is a comment on the schedule more than anything. How were the days off?
Yeah, excellent, thanks. Had 3 days. Went home, went back to Norfolk for a few days. Lads all done different things. I think Steer's done the best thing. But lads all went off and spent some time with their loved ones, which is great. Came in on Tuesday, they all had to send a photo in. So I had a collage on my meeting on Tuesday morning with them and talked through all the photos of where they were and some people doing well for themselves. So that was a good crack. So it's just nice to get away. It's a little bit like school holiday. When you have 6 weeks in the school holidays, you're buzzing you got 6 weeks, but then when you come back, you're pleased to see everyone, and it felt a bit like that because we've just lived in each other's pockets. So I think training this week's been really good, really like refreshing. I think the lads are just happy to be back on the grass. So yeah, thanks. It was a good break.
Are we allowed to know what Steers did?
I don't know if he'd want me to tell you, so I'll tell you. He went to Disney. Not the Disney in Florida, Paris. It's still impressive. It got a massive woo in the room. So so he came out looking the most. It looked better than the Norfolk coast. That is true. Some lads went to London. Some lads just chilled out. Some just saw family. But Steers went all in. I like.
And I know you like to stay in touch with them. Did you give them a couple of days, or were you still on the phone?
No, it wasn't too bad. I think I might have texted a couple just randomly. But yeah, generally as a group, I left them alone. Which was difficult, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, you know me quite well now.
You mentioned it there. Was there then, noticeably more energy from them training?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I honestly think so. And also this week we've actually been allowed to train, not just recover or prepare. You can actually train. So, you can do back to play stuff with the strikers. You can do crosses from deep. You can do loads of different things that, the normal team prep doesn't allow you to do. So that was what was nice. And the conditions have been really good. So, and the lads are training without the pressure of it, without thinking, oh my God, I can't have any fatigue in my legs. I'm playing in 24 hours or whatever the case may be, or I've got fatigue in my legs. They can just train like they're kids, which is always a nice way to be when you're a footballer.
That's what I was going to ask you, actually. There's not been many clear weeks at all since you took over, and not many recently. So the weeks look a lot different than when you've not got game after game after game.
Yeah, because like I said, we came in, had a meeting. It was a relaxed meeting. It was more about getting to know each other more so than it was a football meeting. And then when you go out and train, you can just train on specific things that you think the players need. So the defenders were doing clearances and defending crosses and stuff like that. The strikers were doing their runs and their back to play and contact pad stuff, and the wide men were putting balls in from different angles and stuff like that. But whereas if all you're doing you're trying to recover from a game, you can't do that because physically it's too much. Well, if you do that, you can, but you won't have anything in the tank for the match day. And then the day after, you're preparing. It's all tactics. It's all about, this is how they play. This is what we should do. This is how we're going to hurt them. These are the passes we're trying to play. It isn't individual to the player. Whereas when you get a week, the last 2 days are tactical. The first 2 are more about individual stuff and, make them feel good about themselves. But, you can do more shooting drills, more specific to the individual, which obviously helps the team in the long run.
How does it work in terms of, do you have a list of things you want to work on with individuals, or do they come to you and say, I think need to work on this, or I'd want to work on that?
No, more so it's more driven by us. I think the more time we spend with them, the more the lads are trusting us, and they do come and say, look, Gaffy. So for example, I walked off a pitch with a player the other week and said, look, I need to help you with your back to stuff play. Yeah, you're right. So then when I put the drill on, I can say, look, I'm putting this in for you. We need this. Or for example, a wide man playing it inside to the striker and the run that they can get a 1-2 off, like we haven't been able to work on that. So I can see that there's a dearth of that. So we can work on it, and the lads think, oh great, that gives me an opportunity to score, which is good. So it's more driven by us what we think is a problem. So for example, clearances from the box, if you're clearing it from across, like don't clear it and head it down there. You've got to clear the box. And little details like that, the more we spend with the players, the more we think, well, we need to be better at that, we need to be better at that. They're generally the thing. However, if a player came to me and said, I need to be better at this, then we'd help them. One of my midfielders, I think, should chip in with more goals and on both feet. So we've been doing a lot of shooting from outside the box with him. And so, so it's just trying to go around. So all the players come in and feel valued, and, you look at them and think, well, I want to make him better. And you try and tick as many boxes as you can, so when they get in their car and drive home and think, right, that was a good day's training, come the weekend, if I'm picked, I feel better about myself, which is a positive thing.
I won't ask you to go through the full list, but any major developments on the injury front?
Yeah, quite good really. Well, obviously Tom's back in now, Knighty's back in now, Nat, Hayden and Curtis are back on the grass. I think they're going to rejoin in training next week, which is, I don't know about Curtis, he might not make next week, he might be the week after, but he's definitely ramping up his conditioning next week. But I think Nat and Hayden potentially joining me next week, which is great news before the Sheffield Wednesday game. And I think Chesy's just had a little bit of a setback, so he might take a bit longer. So you see how my brain works, it's all a bit visual, so I've got him there, them there. But I think Chesy's the only one, but I think the rest should return in the next between 5 and 10 days, which would be great.
Yeah, good news. FA Cup on Sunday, you get back to it?
Look, I know their manager really well, Koku, when he was out of work, came and watched us coach for a while, which has probably killed his career. But he came down, we're good friends. His team's worked really, really hard. Done an amazing job at Bristol Rovers and then took over at Mansfield. So, we've watched a lot of them as we always do. Look forward to the game. We have to be at our best. I think this World Cup, if you're watching the World Cup, shows the fact that, look, don't underestimate any team at any time. And if you let the opposition start well, it's hard to get back into the game. So we're going to have to match their intensity, that is for sure.